York State Council on the Arts, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, the Amazon Literacy Partnership, the Academy of American Poets, the Tonight Show, Live Every Voice Incorporated, the Mid-Atlantic Arts Foundation, the Hispanic Federation, the Shelley and Donald Rubin Foundation, the Literacy Arts Emergency Fund, and the New York City Trust COVID-19 Response Fund for helping us to provide free online programming. And I will also like to thank my mother for giving birth to me. How you doing, moms? Okay, now, for those of you who do not know, people have been struggling, especially the theatrical community. The New Rican Poets Cafe has been able to get sponsors for these free online shows, but you can make a donation, a tax-deductible donation to www.newrican.org/contribute or the money sign New Rican Poets Cafe for Cash App. Okay, now that I paid the bills, let me start the show. Woo! For those of you who do not know me, yes, I am a doctor of social work, not a doctor in medicine. I have been doing social justice work for well over 25 years. I know I moisturize. Also, I currently am the treatment director for a residential program for women inmates in the state of New Jersey. No, I can't tell you the name of the program, but you just know it's in New Jersey. I've been doing a lot of, I don't want to say protesting industries, but protesting through the written word. And I believe, just like Miguel Agarin, that poetry and artists like myself and our fabulous features, we give light to a lot of issues that most people might not even think about, or we put into motion change. And with that being said and done, I would like to do a poem for you all. I wrote it for my mother, may she rest in peace. And she was born in the segregated South. My family left Florida. We're a part of the second great migration of African Americans from the South to the North. My father basically left because he could not find work. And this poem right here talks a little bit about her struggle being a mother of 5 children. I was not born at this time. I'm a menopause baby. For those of you who don't not know that, that means that she didn't think she could get pregnant. Aha, here I came. Okay. My mama was 27 years old, raising 4 children, working in the fields, picking beans and tomatoes for $4 a day. My mama was born and raised in the segregated South. She lived diversity and oppression firsthand. My mama didn't always have shoes. She walked to school barefooted. My mama could pinch a penny until it cried. My mama was stingy. My mama gave me my first car and paid the insurance on it so I wouldn't have to catch the bus late at night to get home from work. My mama made money when she was younger, picking lint balls off of blankets for white women. My mama told me her father took the trash out and never came back, left her mother alone with 4 children to raise. I don't even know his name. My mama didn't finish school, but learned how to read and write, kept a diary in 1959, detailing surviving Black, poor, female in the South. My mama told me my job was to go to school. My mother had a strange complexion, not Black, not white, more Native American than house nigger. My mother took her last breath in my arms, and I was the one who told her her mother had died, and my brother, and her other brother. My mother taught us, don't call her at work with no bad news. My mother could not dance, but it never stopped her from doing the electric slide. My mama was one of those old school moms. You better be home before the street lights came on. Sit up in church and be still, moms. My mama was 5'10", wore a size 10 shoe, but she walked like she was 8 feet tall. My mama taught me right from wrong, was abused by my father until my siblings jumped him, beat him with brooms, mops, and buckets, and he never touched her again. My mother moved from Homestead to Newark in the 60s. She didn't want to go, left her sisters and her mother behind because her husband could not find work. She must have been so scared. My mother made the best potato salad y'all don't understand. My father left my mother. She got on welfare, went back to school, earned her GED, and went to nursing school to become an LPN. My mother lived long enough to bury 3 of her children. She told me the worst thing a parent could ever do was outlive their child. My mother was funny, feisty, resourceful, had an ointment or a cream for whatever was bothering her. My mother took care of my brother when he was diagnosed with AIDS. My mother used to tease me, say things like, I don't know why you came out so short. And I would respond, how are you going to blame me for your DNA? My mother kicked my brother out of the house when he was on drugs. My mother loved us all the same. We didn't always have what we wanted, but we always had what we needed. My mother told me she was frying fish when her water broke with me. She said the doctor screamed out, I see a foot, and she said, oh Lord, I'm gonna die. She told me the doctor tried to turn me around but couldn't, so I came out feet first. She said that's the reason why I'm always stepping into trouble. My mother went back to college when I was in high school, worked full time from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. and still managed to get up every day and cook me breakfast for school, grits, 2 eggs, scrambled, bacon, toast, hot chocolate, even in the summertime, 2 slices of jelly toast and a glass of Tang. My mama would look at us and we will all stop what we was doing in fear. My mother added an A to her name, named me Helena. And when I grow up, I want to be just like her. Thank you. That poem is for my mother. All right, you're just now joining us. This is Poetry and Protest. My name is Dr. Helena D. Lewis. I'm not a medical doctor, but I am a doctor of social work. Please put some respect on my name. It wasn't easy getting here. And if you listen to the poem that I did about my mother, I just want to say, women in general, we have a tendency to be the caretakers. We are the ones who try to make everything right. And to this day, I do not know how my mother managed to have 6 children and went back to school to get her GED, had the strength to leave the South to come to the North, was abused and got past all of that. And I just want to celebrate all women. And I don't think that if you listen to the poem, there's a line about me coming out feet first. And I don't know if y'all know this, but women of color, we have the highest number of death rates for when we give birth. And I think that's something that needs to be showcased and highlighted because there's a disparity in healthcare between women of color, especially when they're giving birth. So that was the issue that I wanted to give forth and to pay homage to my mother and to encourage any other woman out there who might be going through something. Hang on. I'm not telling you that you can do it because my mother did it. I'm telling you that you can do it because I got your back. Just email me. I ain't got no money, but just email me and I'll do whatever I can do to assist you. All right, now, the people, my features, does anybody have any comments about my poem before I move on to our next performer? Going once.
Can I add a comment? So just the repetition of my mama and it's so rhythmic. And I just think it's such a beautiful part because it's just like that reminder, that repetition, my mama, right? Like it's almost like you have all the lines where you describe something about her, but then those are the lines where you have more to say, but you don't have more to, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe you don't have the words, but like my mom, I just love your work, but I really love those parts of the poem.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Well, you know what? I remember, I wrote this maybe a year or two after she had passed away, and I think one day I was getting up and I was like, and it just kind of like came out of me. And you know what? I've always heard this 1,001 times. And even though I'm a therapist, Black people don't go to therapy, so this form of writing and this narrative, essays and poems that I do, they are my form of therapy. And I encourage everybody out there, especially in the age of COVID-19, where death and dying is so prevalent, that you might need to talk to somebody. I know people were like, we're gonna take it to Jesus, but you can take it to Jesus and get a therapist at the same time, because I can't say we, I want everyone to be well mentally. I'm seeing mental health issues just coming out left and right. And don't get me started on all the trauma and stuff that we're seeing on TV daily. Like it feels like every time I turn on the news, another person is shot of color, somebody else is shooting other people. Like it's just insane out there, So with this show, Poetry and Protest, when I wrote the narrative for it, I was like, from civil rights to Me Too to LGBTQIA and plus sign, we want to bring forth information, we want to educate, and we want to enlighten the people who were so gracious with their time to tune in today to see us perform. All righty now. With that being said and done, I'm going to keep it moving. I'm going to go from left to right. And what I see Big Mike, I see Emmanuel, I see Matt, and I see JF Siri. So Big Mike, let me read y'all his bio. Mm, 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 mm. We call him Big Mike, but on his birth certificate, it says Mike Bettram. Referred to as Big Mike on the stage and Mr. B in the classroom. He has been teaching for 25 plus years and is currently a third grade teacher in New Jersey. He started performing spoken word in 2002 and was a member of the 2005 New York Poetry Slam team. He was a featured poet on the 6th season of HBO's Def Poetry Jam and the 2008 Southern Fried Individual Poetry Slam champion. He was the recipient of the Jersey Poetry Movement Spoken Word Pioneer Award in 2008 and named 2019 Artist of the Year in his hometown of Broadway for his work in the New Jersey poetry community. And I would like to also add, Big Mike is a fantastic father, a fantastic parent, a fantastic teacher, and a fantastic friend, and funny as hell. Big Mike, how you doing? Unmute yourself.
I'm doing well. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you. I wanted to know, not to be all in your business, but how are you doing teaching in New Jersey, online or in person? I heard that y'all went back to school.
Yeah, we're back to school. I have 14 kids in my class, and then I have about 6 online. It is the most difficult thing I have ever encountered in my life. So it's really, really difficult teaching during the pandemic, but we're teachers, so we persevere.
Okay, well, you know what, my heart go out to you. And I teach at a university, and I see my college students, they're bugging out a little bit. So I can't even imagine third graders and the social skills and all that other jazz. Hey, Chris, I hear some background talk. I don't know who's unmuted that's in the Zoom universe. Can you just take care of that before Mike started his phone? You the best. Okay. So, and I don't know if there's other teachers out there, my hat's off to you, because, on the college level, the students are having problems that I can't even imagine what your students might be going through, especially if they're coming from backgrounds where they might have abuse and trauma in the household. Like I remember it might have been the news. I don't know. It had to be, but I was thinking there's a lot of students who are going to school who get food at school. Like they're not eating at home and they need that meal. And then there was the story, I saw it on MSNBC. The student was in her virtual class and she just started crying and saying that I'm hungry. We have no food. And I think she was like 3 or 4 years old. So the teacher in the school was able to do some networking to make sure that child and the family had food, Big Mike, I don't want to keep talking because I know people are like, she's talking a lot. Yes, I do. I can't help it. But I want to hear a poem, to quote Steve Cannon, in the back of the bar by the New Eureka Poets Cafe.
So this is a poem I actually wrote for teachers. It's about, teaching during the pandemic. So this is for all the teachers out there. Mike Tyson once famously said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. But we are teachers, patient and resilient, focused and flexible, which means we plan for everything, ready for anything. So when life hits hard, we have no choice but to pick ourselves up off the canvas, wipe those tears, and keep moving forward, because that's how teaching is done. There is no manual for this. We are all first-year teachers again, operating purely on instinct. We have no time to count down days. We must make each day count. Our students push us bell to bell, engage and entertain, relate and educate. Back to the basics. Let's focus on taking grades, more on relationships, perfecting new techniques from Nearpod to Pear Deck, Flipgrid to FlowCab. We do our own training, transforming our kitchens into science labs, our living rooms into classrooms, our basements into studios, leaving our students like, oh, I'm going to like, click, and subscribe all my teachers' videos. Take down those wedding pictures because these anchor charts won't hang themselves. This is how teaching is done. Standing in the middle of a hybrid classroom, going toe to toe with technology, 10 online, 10 in class, shuffling 3 screens at once, battling bad internet connection, weak wireless signals, and frozen faces, in person, remote, hybrid, remote, overworked and exhausted, physically drained and frustrated. 2020 delivered that second week, third month knockout blow, leaving us not wanting to roll out of bed. 1, I gotta rise like Maya and pick myself up. 2, these kids have no idea I'm wearing a collared shirt with pajama bottoms. 3, how do I get each student to be seen, to be heard? 4, mute. 5, I'm so ready to launch this laptop into the street and have it Google meet the concrete. 6, you know I can see you're on YouTube, right? 7, how do you wipe away tears with a mouse? 8, breathe, pull yourself up, 1 Zoom at a time, 1 lesson at a time, 1 class at a time, adjust and adapt, persevere and survive. This year will not define us. It will only refine us. We won't be counted out.
Oh my God. Yo, I felt that. I felt that. I don't even know what to say because you know what, Big Mike, I see you post stuff from time to time on Facebook. Like you don't break any confidentiality, like you just share little like stories and stuff like that. And I hear the struggle in your updates on Facebook. And I know Big Mike, Amira, JF Sirius teaching. I have a friend right now who's teaching at a school in Harlem virtually. And basically he's working literally from like 6 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, you know, and I don't know, like, are teachers getting extra money or
Nah.
We're
That's
like,
a good one, Helena.
no,
No, we're not getting extra money. You know what it is too. They want us to do everything with the kids, which is our main priority, but then they pile stuff on us extra at work, paperwork and stuff. You would think they would say, take care of yourself. A lot of districts say take care of yourself mentally and physically, but while they're saying that, they're also piling extra work on us. So a lot of it comes from that too. If you want to say you really want to take care of the teachers, instead of making them do extra PD, why don't you give them a half day, 3-hour break or something? Because that mental health, like you were talking about, is very important.
Well, for me, like after about 2 hours, I'm like, oh, I don't want to be looking at this thing anymore. So I can't even imagine how the students are, especially like younger students. And I did a speaking engagement online for another school, and all the students had their cameras on, but it was facing the ceiling. And I was like, hello, y'all don't want to, what's going on? You want to engage? And they're like, some of them are just tuned out, like all the way, I wanted to know, and if you can share, if you know of this, what did your school do for students who didn't have laptops or couldn't afford Wi-Fi?
We give them Chromebooks. Our district has very fortunate. We had the ability to give them each a Chromebook. So we had enough Chromebooks for each student in the district. I don't think every district has that, but our district we're very fortunate.
And I think that, and maybe the panelists can help me out on this. I don't think that people thought when the pandemic started, that it was going to last this long, 1. 2, I don't think that people gave a lot of thought as to the children who were economically disadvantaged, who were at home without a laptop. Like some people only have access to laptops at the library, and this includes college students as well. And we also have some non-traditional students. And by non-traditional, I'm talking about students who are currently incarcerated, who might be at a residential community release program, where the programs might not have any laptops or computer access for the inmates, because, it's a requirement in some cases for the Department of Corrections, and I can say where I'm at, we had to really bust our tail to get some computers in for the clients to at least finish that semester, so they wouldn't have all these incompletes or F's on their transcripts. So if they got out of the program, they can continue their education without that stress on them. So hats off to all the teachers. I see a mirror right here. I know she's a teacher. Hats off to you. Oh, wait a minute. Glasses off to you, because I don't have a hat. A mirror out there. Hold on. Let me pick with a mirror real quick. Can I unmute a mirror? I guess not. A mirror.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. What's up?
Not to put you on the spot, but how are you doing teaching? And then I'm gonna have Big Mike do his second poem.
Yeah, most of what Mike said is correct, except for I think the children, in terms of mental health, now are stressed beyond the limit. Like you said that they checked out. Yes, they are checked out. And it's almost sad to see their little faces peering back at you on a computer, and those that are back in school. To me, it is not a good situation. I just think it's too much at this point. And everybody's in need of some kind of mental detox, teachers, students, and of course, parents who had no idea what teachers actually did with their kids all day. And now they have had it firsthand for over a year. But I'm more concerned about the faces that I see looking back at me. The children are really stressed mentally at this point. It's not a good situation.
Someone told me that he was sitting on the front porch with his kid, and maybe 3 houses over is another kid that goes to the same school, and they said the other kid rode by with the bicycle, but they didn't speak to each other. So the parent asked the child, how come you didn't speak to so and so? Don't y'all go to the same school? And he was like, I didn't know I could speak with them. I haven't left the house in over a year, So long term, I don't know who's going to do the qualitative research on this, but long term, I wonder what is going to happen to these young folks who live through this when they enter the workforce, how their interpersonal relationships going to be, because a year of socializing, losing that, and then some, that's got to be hard.
We're gonna have a lot of making up to do.
Yeah. Oh, and Mike, when you said, how can you wipe away tears with a mouse?
Nah, I was born.
Yeah, you know what? I actually have to give credit to my boy Nick. He gave me that line. So
Nick gave it to you?
Yeah, my man Nick gave it to me because I needed a number 7, and I was like, something with crying. I reached through the screen, and then he was like, wipe away tears with a mouse. I was like, oh.
Oh, wow. Okay. Shout outs to Nick for the assist with the poem. How you doing?
Yeah. Of course, that's the one line that everybody quotes.
Isn't that how it goes? I remember when I did this poem at Bogies and Skills wrote one of the lines, but that line was tight. And I was like, damn it, Skills wrote that line. That's how it goes.
It's always the good listeners. They have that ear, and then they just tighten it up for you a little bit. Okay. What are you gonna do?
Okay, so Mike, with your second poem, what you gonna give us? What issue are you trying to showcase or want to bring to the forefront? That's not coming out.
So, my next poem is called "Things I Often Have to Say to Other White People," because I believe that silence is compliance, and we need to start speaking up. And if you are a white person, if you are, like in my case, a white male, middle-aged, you have to start checking other people with their ignorance. How many times do you hear people say, oh, if they only combine, or, all of that bullshit. So this is things I often say to other white people. 1, how are you going to tell Black folks to get over slavery talking about it was 400 years ago, but cry when they knock down your stupid ass Civil War participation statues. Every time you wave that Confederate flag, it screams out thing. Loser. 2. Troubled equals white thug. Southern pride equals, what do you call a troubled white youth filled with Southern pride? A domestic terrorist. 3. Did you just say immigrants are taking all the jobs? Man, ain't nobody taking your goddamn job. How is it that Mexican has 3 jobs to support his family, but your 25-year-old son can't put down a PS4 controller to get 1? 4. So if you don't see color and race is not an issue, why you get so mad when they paint Jesus black or they make Santa a brother? Why do you start online petitions when they turn a fictional character into a person of color? 5. Let me get this straight. Your team wins the championship and your idea of a celebration is flipping over cars, looting local businesses, and burning the city down. But kneeling for the national anthem is completely disrespectful. 6. Are you trying to tell me Dr. King would be embarrassed by the Black Lives Matter movement? Really? Dr. King would be like arm in arm with Colin Kaepernick singing Childish Gambino's This Is America, moonwalking up and down Pennsylvania Avenue until every profiled police officer / white supremacist senator is held accountable for their actions. 7. Unless you are Sonic the Hedgehog or a goddamn Smurf, blue lives do not matter. There are no blue people here. 8. Yes, there is a white entertainment network. It's called the Hallmark Channel. And yes, there absolutely is a show called Whitish. I think you call it Friends, or maybe it was Seinfeld. 9. Whenever you say, I don't want to sound racist, but, or whisper the word black, you sound extra racist with a side of Hellman's smothered in Mirror Whip. 10. Liberty and justice for all is American mirage. So if white guilt means empathetic, then I'm guilty as charged. Because you can wear a hoodie without getting shot in the back. And you can eat Skittles without getting shot in the back. Tell police that you're armed without getting shot while your kids sit in the back. Our skin is a privilege. We were born with it. It doesn't mean our lives are perfect. It doesn't mean we're lazy assholes or bad people. It means we were given a 25-point lead in Game 7 of the NBA Finals before tip-off, and we got the ref in our pocket. So just fucking acknowledge it. It's not personal, but keep your pale-ass point of view to yourself. Mind your goddamn business. Put your cell phone down, shut the fuck up, and just listen. 10B. And if you do get invited to the cookout, leave your macaroni and cheese and potato salad at home.
Woo! Big Mike. I don't even know what to say about that. But I think that for me, what that poem speaks a lot about is the microaggressions that people of color face like constantly, like throughout the day. And I, being a person of color in academia, the stuff that I'd be like, are you serious? And I used to have a picture of me on my university email account. And I noticed that when I put the picture of myself, on it, the emails that I was getting were a little different, like a little disrespectful, to say the point. And when I took my picture off, and then I got a new year came through, the emails were a little different. It's like little stuff like that. And I always try to be like, is it because I'm black? Is it because I'm female? Is it because I got dressed or wear glasses? Like what is like? And all this implicit bias is so ingrained in people that they don't even realize they're doing it half the time. And that's sad. Did y'all see the video of the cop that sprayed the guy, the lieutenant in the army? If you don't know what I'm talking about, raise your hand and I'll talk a little bit about it, but I don't want to take up too much time with my stuff. Okay, cool. Nobody raised their hand. Big Mac, what? Okay, so let me tell you. Okay, somewhere, I want to say Virginia, okay, African-American man was driving, he was in a truck. The cops flagged him for not having the license plate but he did have a temporary license plate in the car. So what he did was he put his hazard lights on and he drove like really, really, really slow to a gas station that was well lit. And then they was like, put your hands out the window, don't move, open the door, but don't move. Guns blazing, and the guy was like, why did you pull me over? And he was like, resisting arrest, all this other jazz. And then the black guy said something else to him, and the cop was like, oh, you're about to feel this lightning right now. They maced him, sprayed him, pulled him out the car, handcuffed him, questioned him, and then he was released. And then the guy is basically saying, the police officer is saying, like, I could mess up your military career, loosely translated. And I don't know who is giving this training. And I have been in Virginia and many states driving on them dark roads and stuff. So, and it's pitch black. It's not like here, there's a light. It's like, there's nothing, you can't see anything. So I can relate, especially in these times. But what I don't understand is, okay, why is it keep happening? And then you'll see another video of a person who's white where they'll jump out the car, threaten the cops, tell the cops they got a gun, and so they're not getting arrested, and they don't get shot, they don't get tased to death by accident. None of that stuff is happening. So we got to do something better with these police officers and some training. I don't have the answers for it. Okay. All right, moving right along. Does anybody have any comments? Somebody, Big Mike, I see you having some internet issues. It's okay, it happens. Can you hear me, Big Mike?
I'm having some internet issues.
Clearly. Okay, well, when you can come back when you work it out. I had internet issues in the beginning. It happens. Big Mike, move around so I know that you're really here or you just frozen. Okay, Big Mike is back. And to everybody that's out there in the Zoom universe, we have slotted some time for an open mic segment. I don't know how many people will be able to get on, but I'm definitely going to try. I learned my lesson the last time I did a show. I unmuted somebody and they danced naked across the stage. So if I don't see you with a picture, I'm not unmuting you and asking you to share. That's because I don't want to see nothing that I don't want to see. I need my eyes. Okay. And if you work in community corrections, lockups, or institutions, that would be a straight up PREA incident. How you doing? Okay, moving right along. Emmanuel Xavier. Let me read his bio and then let me tell you how I first met him, okay? Emmanuel Xavier, a poet and activist. Born in Brooklyn, New York, and became involved in the ball scenes as a homeless gay teen. For those of you who've been following Pose, that kind of like is like around about that time frame. Over a span of 25 years, Xavier has received recognition as a spoken word artist from national colleges and universities. He has been named an LGBTQ icon. I can see that. I agree with that. By the Equality Forum and has been presented a New York City Council Citation Award. Xavier has received an International Latino Book Award. I hope I'm going to say this correctly, but here I go. Lambda Literacy Award nominations. Clearly, I did not. Clearly, I did not. An American Library Association over the Rainbow Book selections for his collection, which include Peer Queen, which I use to this day at my agency when I'm doing poetry workshops with my clients.
Thank you for that.
Okay, Americano, If Jesus Were Gay. It's just like a whole list of books that he wrote and everything else. But let me just say, he is a recipient of a Gay City Impact Award and the Marsha A. Gomez Cultural Heritage Award. And I met Emmanuel 1999, I remember. And this is back when Keith Roach was alive. And Keith Roach went to Steve Donaldson and said, we want to send a slam team to Florida for the Love Jones Slam. It was like the first annual one. And I met Emmanuel. Flo Mentos went down with me. Jennifer Murphy went down. There was another sister who did this poem by swinging to the left and swinging to the right. I can't remember her name. And Emmanuel was just like on fire the whole time. Like his words was like just on some other stuff. And I was like, oh man, I want to be like him. And he had this one poem that he did when he'll be like, so, throw down the baby. Like he'll snap out the poem and do like a mini monologue and then snap back in the poem. It was just so amazing. And we lost contact. And I don't know how I found him or how we reconnected recently, but I asked him to please be a part of Poetry and Protest, and he agreed. And I just want to say thank you. I love you. And don't you ever lose contact with me again, Emmanuel.
Love you too. And thank you so much for being part of our House of Xavier events when we were at the New York Poets Cafe.
Them glam slams, yes. And I got to meet Willie Ninja.
Yes. Who would have turned 60 just a couple of days ago.
Oh,
Thank you very much. Yes.
We lost so many great people. Like, I'm part of the FEB board, formerly part of the FEB board at Essex County Community College when Gerald Holloway was there. And one day we was just talking about, we lost just Larry, we lost Melvin. It was like it was like the arts and entertainment industry got gutted. Of so many powerful, impactful people due to the HIV/AIDS, I'm going to say pandemic, because with COVID-19 is my second pandemic. I survived through the era of AIDS. You know, I remember there was no medicine. Like all you can do, maybe if you was lucky, get some AZT. You know, wow, just that. Okay, well,
thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you. Now, what you gonna do for us? Your first poem? What issue you trying to showcase or bring forth?
The first poem that I'm gonna do it's a new poem. You know, obviously, gun control is still an issue in this country. And 5 years ago, on June 12th will be the 5th year anniversary of the Pulse massacre. And I can't believe we're still here. We're still having these issues. So this poem is called Pulse. And I wrote it, and I dedicated it to Omar Mateen, who of course was the gunman. So here it goes. We will keep on smiling from the dance floor, and we will keep on smiling from the bar, and we will keep on loving without limits. And when we do, we promise you, we will not do it in fear from faiths which hate us, or concealed from spouses, only wed for appearances while living in denial. Yes, you may think it's a sin, but we promise, whatever God you pray to, his or her, their only mistake is not those who find ecstasy in the music, truth in their gender, or love in one another, but those who slaughter, silence screams, regardless of language, especially those who murder by the dozens and attempt to harm even more. You claimed not to have a problem with Black people, yet you left us all, brown like you, strange fruits scattered on the dance floor. We will keep on smiling, and we will do it the same way all of God's children do, even as they keep trying to take away our rights or sending us back to other countries. This is our America too. We promise we know hatred, white supremacy, and bombings too. Yet we will never forget love is love is love. A family can come together to heal. A beautiful smile can emerge from a photograph for years to come. Your bullets will never erase our memories. We will keep on smiling. We will keep on loving in spite of you. You're on mute.
Didn't I tell you he was on some other stuff? Woo! Emmanuel, did I hear you correctly? You said you was writing this one for the shooter?
Yes.
You know what? I've never heard anyone do that. And the way that you did it was just so powerful, you know, and not like we're taking anything away from the people who lost their lives, you know, but to get into the psyche of somebody who has the ability to do that, like, I don't understand. Like, I am not under any circumstances going to get a gun and go around and say I'm going to shoot everybody, unless it's the zombie apocalypse and it's the Walking Dead. Okay, but now in these days of time, like it just keep happening over and over and over. 20 people. This one doesn't like Muslims. This one doesn't like people who are Black. This one to go to the school and shoot all the kids. I can't even. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Siri, Big Mike, Matt, does anybody have anything they want to say before Emmanuel does his second piece?
That shirt is fire. I need to get an alphabet shirt.
Okay.
Thank you.
The shirt is fire. The whole
That's all I
background
had.
is fire.
That's all I had.
Okay.
The shirt is fire.
Thank you, Big Mike. He knows how to take a difficult subject and put a little bit of light into the air. I appreciate that because it went heavy, but I think these heavy moments are where we grow and learn from, and hopefully somebody is going to hear the poem that Emmanuel did and it would change them or maybe make them think twice about harming someone else,
Hope so.
Okay.
Definitely hope so. So my next poem is a signature poem that I've read plenty of times before, and I wrote it many years ago, 2 decades ago, in fact. But it's still an issue. It's still an issue in this country, and it's an important poem. It's about immigration, and I'm just going to share it, and then we can discuss. Americano. I look at myself in the mirror trying to figure out what makes me an American. And I see Ecuador and Puerto Rico. I see brujo spirits moving across the backs of santeros, splattered with the red blood of sacrificed chickens on their virgin white clothes and blue beads for Yemaya, practicing religions without a roof. I see my own blood reddening the white sheets of a stranger, proud American blue jean labels on the side of the bed. I see Don Rosario and his guayabera sitting outside the bodega with his Puerto Rican flag, reading time in the eyes of alley cats. I see my mother trying to be more like Marilyn Monroe than Julia de Burgos. I see myself trying to be more like James Dean than Federico Garcia Lorca. I see Carlos Santana, Gloria Estefan, Ricky Martin, and Jennifer Lopez more than just sporadic Latin explosions, more like fireworks on El 4 de Julio, as American as Bruce Springsteen, Janis Joplin, Elvis Presley, and Aretha Franklin. I see Taco Bells and chicken fajitas at McDonald's. I see red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. I see Cheetah Rivera on Broadway. You see, I am as American as lemon merengue pie, as American as Wonder Woman's panties, as American as Madonna's bra, as American as the Quinteañeros, the Abduls, the Lees, the Jacksons, the Kennedys, mostly all of us immigrants to the soil, since none sound American Indian to me, as American as televisions know, as that the anthem is played, and I am not ashamed. Jose, can you see? I pledge allegiance to this country, 'tis of me, land of dreams and opportunity, land of proud detergent names and commercialism, land of corporations. If I can win gold medals at the Olympics, if I can sign my life away to die for the United States, ain't no small town hit gonna tell me I ain't an American, because I can speak in 2 languages. Coño carajo, fuck you. This is my country too, where those who not believe in freedom and diversity are the ones who need to get the hell out.
Yes, 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 yes. Siri, I see you filling that piece right there. we got some applause that's going on. MDL, I see your hand up clapping. Nicole, I see your hand up clapping. Sadly, we're not Facebook Live, but we're YouTube Live, and I can't see the what they're saying on there. Jennifer, it got a hand up, happy too. Once again, Emmanuel, just hit it on the nose. Just hit it on the nose. I have a question for you though.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the video of I don't know where they were coming from. It was two adults dropped a little girl, I think 3 and 5 over the wall.
Yeah.
And I was like, and just took off running like back to Mexico, whatever. And I was
They were
like, oh
from
my God,
Ecuador, actually.
Ecuador.
I
And
remember
then,
that. I was like,
and
they traveled all the way from Ecuador to do this.
yeah, and then they said that in one of the girls' backpacks was the number to her mother who was here in America. And I was like, I can't even imagine being that young and traveling and being like, I just like, I have no words, you know. It kind of like reminds me of okay, like and this is gonna come out wrong, but here it comes. Like, you know, to be so fearful that you just have to run, like an enslaved person running for their freedom, you know. And when people talk about go back to this country, go back to this whole country is founded by immigrants. Like, you literally killed the indigenous population and then brought over some other people and was like, bam, this belongs to us. You know? And I just hope that anyone that's listening to this, I don't, you know, whatever your political affiliation, that you can at least have some compassion and some dignity and some respect for these young kids, you know, because they didn't ask for any of this, you know. Anything else you want to add? I mean, I just loved it. It was so powerful, so thoughtful, so well written, so Emmanuel Xavier.
No, thank you so much for doing this, and thank you so much for having me.
Oh no,
It's important. I mean, we're just poets, and I mean, we protest through our work. We're artists. I mean, we, the true protesters. Most of us have the opportunity to go out there and protest on the streets, but we protest through our art, and that's all that we can do, and hopefully we can reach people and inspire others to continue sharing their voices and being heard.
Well, not only do I believe that we're reaching people, but these episodes are basically going to be an online time capsule. So 100 years from now, when we're no longer here in this form, what we did right now will still speak forever, you know. And I'm hoping in the future people looking at this, okay, I'm hoping that we won't have gun issues. I'm hoping there won't be all these racial issues. I hope that mass incarceration will no longer be a problem. I'm hoping, you know. But if it is, I need y'all to do something about it, because here we are in 2021 talking about it. We don't want to talk about it in 30. Okay. Okay. Oh, wow. Siri, are you okay? You look emotional. You need to process.
No, I think I'm just a little tired, but it's so much. Sorry. So my eyes are drooping. It's just because I'm a little tired and I have this light on me. But yeah, no. I was just writing in the chat, I think both of you are making a really interesting point about documenting, right? We're documenting the times. And then it reminded me of Nina Simone in an interview saying it's the artist's responsibility to reflect the times, right? And I think that's what's happening. The question of the dual identity, bicultural identity of Latinx Americans is one way that we document this time, right? Because we've been erased from so much of history, so much of American history specifically, right? And so in this way, we create space in the in the American history fabric and in the narrative. And so so anyway, that's what I've been thinking about in my own mind here as you all have been conversing.
Oh, okay, because I was like, hey, what's going on? Okay.
Can I piggyback on Siri? So
Go ahead, man.
Anytime I heard documenting or the word documentation, well, one, just being a journalist, but also just growing up in a lot of institutional settings. The saying goes, if it isn't documented, it didn't happen.
It happened. Yeah. Well, this is definitely being documented. I want to also say, before I bring on Matt, right? I was thinking, like, when you were sharing and everybody was sharing, I was like, a lot of the artists and performers that I know, we're really like deep feelers and thinkers. Like, you could be walking down the street and you see something and it might not bother you, but it'll bother me to the point like I have to write about it. Like I need people to know that this is not right and we need to change. We got to do this. We got to do that. So I don't know. Do any of you feel that same way, that you just feel deeply about a lot of stuff? Okay, we got something going on here.
Well, I guess, the poem that I plan to share tonight, this actually, the seed for this was planted back in October of 2019. And I just now got to, finally get it out on page.
Mm-hmm.
But that just goes to show how deep you can be feeling some things, for a couple of years, before,
Mm-hmm.
It'll just be composting inside of you until it's ready to, just spill out.
Mm-hmm. And before you go, Matt, to do your poem, I'm thinking about I don't know who's been following the George Floyd trial and stuff, but that when that little girl got on and said I think she was 9 at the time when this occurred, and now she's 10, and she was like, I was just going to the store with my family member and I witnessed this, and I was like, they're not going to outlive that. Like, into the day they died, this has impacted them in some type of way, and the body keeps the score. This is a book written by another doctor. I can't remember the doctor's name, but it's a very, very great book. It's talking about how you live with this trauma, how it manifests, and you don't even know that your body is experiencing or reliving the event. So I don't know. I just felt like saying that. Thanks for listening. Okay, MAD stands for the Many Attitudes of Dennis. Okay, he is the author of The Many Attitudes of Dennis spoken word poems. He is a former New Eurekan Poets Cafe Grand Slam finalist who has been described by Johns Hopkins University Press blog as a hilarious but also heartbreaking performance poet. Matt has a BA in journalism from St. John's University and will soon release his new chapbook, Mistaken Identity Crisis, under NYSAI Press. In his spare time, Matt performs legs up the wall pose and reflects. Well, what? You got to break that down for me, Matt. And reflects on the time he almost caused an international incident on the Canadian border. Yes, let me tell y'all, I met Matt somehow through Keith Boogie. Matt, where's Keith Boogie at? Is he still around? You don't know? Well, okay, Keith Boogie used to do this, had this website, I forget what it was, but he, spoken word website. So somehow he got invited to go to Canada and he tagged me and Matt in on it, right? So it all went well until we got ready to come back. And I don't know about the other performers. Let me tell you what I had on me. I had maybe close to $1,000 in cash because I had sold that much books in that day, and we get to Canadian border and the Mountie guy leaks into the car and goes, what was y'all doing in Canada? And we was like, oh, we was there for a Martin Luther King celebration, event, which we were. And then Matt goes, the guy says, well, what did Martin Luther King ever do for Canada? Next thing I know, Matt was like, what do you mean? What did Martin Luther King? They seized our passport. They had pulled us over. They had dogs on the car. And all I kept thinking about was like, oh my God, how am I going to explain having all this cash? Like, they're going to think we're drug dealers. We got to catch the airplane. We got to get out of here. I got to go to work tomorrow. And that was the last time I saw Matt until maybe 2 years ago. Thank you for listening. Clearly, my body is still keeping the score. I'm traumatized by that event. And without further ado, Matt, I'm going to need you to unmute yourself and please talk about this poem that you're going to do. You said it's rather long, so you're going to do this one poem. Talk about it before you do it. And how do you feel about creating this international incident almost?
Listen, they just let me out. That's why you didn't see me for that long. But listen, sometimes the truth just comes out. Sometimes the filter don't catch it in time, so that was just one of the moments. But Yeah, I'm just going to just get into the poem, and then maybe if there's some questions, I'll talk after. How do Black poets write a poem about how easy it is for a white person to kill them and get away with it? How easy it is. Easy like Sunday morning. Take out the trash easy. Bring home groceries easy. Change the channel or sing the national anthem easy. Donate to St. Jude's Hospital or watch Coming to America on Amazon Prime easy. It may as well be another name for New Orleans, the Big Easy. It's hard to read Emily Dickinson's I'm Nobody, Who Are You, and not think of the Notorious Big's commentary on Blackness. You're nobody until somebody kills you. How much killing can a poet write about until they're ready to fall on their pen? The taking of Black lives has become a sick cliche. A 7-minute and 45-second internet video titled Timeline of 1,944 Black Americans Killed by Police, based on data compiled over 6 years. I stopped watching at halftime. The score is a blowout. Black Americans killed by police, 1,023. Police charged, 36. Police convicted, 18. I know the makers of the video were well-meaning, but to fit that much murder in only 3 minutes and 55 seconds is an abomination, a Tide Pod of Black death. One video can wash almost 2,000 loads. I think the makers of the video included at least one Black poet who attempted to make the video not become one long-ass poem, to make the video not become a name parade. How do you write a poem that doesn't turn into a name parade? How do you write a poem about a press conference where the police chief introduces himself? My name is Legion, for we are many. America is possessed by an impure spirit, a spirit that cannot be cast out but by thoughts and prayers and fasting. But look at this country's obesity rate. Ain't nobody missing a meal over no dead Black person. Ain't nobody gonna stop going to diners, dives, and drive-thrus. Even in the midst of a global pandemic, there's a time to kill Black folk. Maybe Black folk are the pandemic. Maybe their breathing is under attack. Maybe injustice is the vaccine. Maybe getting pulled over is the first dose. Maybe a no-knock warrant is the second dose. Maybe tasers that shoot bullets are a booster shot. How do you write a poem about Michael Brown without mentioning Michael Brown? How do you write a poem about Eric Garner without mentioning Eric Garner? How do you write a poem about Philando Castile without mentioning Philando Castile? How do you write a poem that doesn't turn into a name parade? How do you write a poem about Breonna Taylor without mentioning Breonna Taylor? How do you write a poem about George Floyd without mentioning George Floyd? How do you write a poem about Deshaun Wright without mentioning Deshaun Wright? How do you write a poem that doesn't turn into a 90s rap song produced by the Name Parade? Puff, Puffy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy going take that all over the track. Any poem that's out there want to be a poem and want to stay a poem and won't have to worry about the Name Parade trying to be all in the poem, all on the poem dancing, come to death row. Is being Black like being on death row? It's not a matter of if, but when. What's your last meal going to be? Who made the potato salad? How does a poet write a poem about a topic nobody wants to hear about and make people listen? The Name Parade will never get the ratings of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Yet the list of names marches on through cars, streets, driveways, motel balconies, rivers, hanging trees, apartments, bird watching parks, holding cells, bedrooms, living rooms, hands up, back turned, wallets, sandwiches, bathrooms, stairwells. The Name Parade is trampling over the leaves of grass. Tamir Rice, Amadou Diallo, Eleanor Bumpers, oh, when the names, Sandra Bland, Sean Bell, Emmett Till, oh, when the names, Fred Hampton, Ahmaud Arbery, Antoine Rose, oh, when the names come marching in. Oh, when the names Oh, when the names come marching in, how I don't want to be in that number. When the names come marching in. Take it to church. Oh, when the names, oh, when the names, oh, when the names come marching in. How I don't wanna be in that number when the names come marching in.
I got one word. Damn. That's fire. I don't even know what to say about that. Wait a minute. Yes, I do. I know it. What about the names that we don't know?
It's too. It's
It's too.
that's that. There's just so many names. Too many names.
And then there's
that you don't know.
And then there's people who are currently alive now due to social, economic, and political factors beyond their control, have been marginalized and relegated, incarcerated, out pimping, not pimping, selling their bodies, just like, it's just crazy. But Matt, that was just so powerful. Like I felt it here. Like I was like, and I'm not one of those emotional type of people. Like I could, like, you fall out, I'll be like, oh, call the ambulance, and I won't react. But I felt like I was about to cry on that, And then I love how you interject, like we're hip hop kids for the most part, the references to Biggie Smalls and this and that. It was just so well written and thoughtful. And then when you started with some of the names, and then you just kept going with the names, more names and more names, and then the whole church thing, you need to make that. Douglas, I see you on here. You and Maddie to get together, and that needs to be a video. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know what to say. But anybody besides me, because I'm speechless, I'm flabbergasted. I can't even say flabbergasted. It's not coming out right.
I do want to say one thing. I want to, give just like how Big Mike he had somebody help him some inspiration. So a fellow poet, Dara Kalima.
Yeah.
When I spoke about in October of 2019, we were having a conversation about her poem, and she a poem and some letters that she wrote, where she was basically the situation with Botham Jean, where she killed him, and then the brother hugged her in court. So Dara had said she had basically a list of like these rules that if I die, this is what I need you to do. And one of those rules was don't hug my murderer. And we were having a conversation about that because she touched me with her words, and as we were talking, that was where that phrase came from, the name parade, because she was talking about how she was trying to talk about this topic and she didn't want it to turn into quote unquote name parade. And ever since she said that, I've been meditating on that until now, and I really think the Deshaun Wright was probably what just broke the dam, and then it was like everything just came out. So shout out to Laura.
We got a comment in the NDL to everyone says, I have no words to describe the emotions that poem evoked. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, NDL. Thank you.
Listen, I think that, and I have like 2 of your books and I see you perform from time to time. But that just spoke to me on so many levels, especially with the recent murder of that young man who was, what is his name? Devon? Do y'all know what I'm saying?
Sean Wright?
His name was Sean Wright?
The little kid, there's another one you're talking about in Chicago.
Not the 13-year-old person. There was another one who just turned 20. He had a 2-year-old son. The cops stopped him for air freshener. This literally
Dante Wright.
Thank you, Dante Wright. And he called. This is what resonated with me, like with your piece and with what I saw. When the cops pulled him over, he called his mother and was like, "I'm being pulled over by the cops," and we have different conversations with our children of color than I think some people do. Like, I remember my mother telling me, basically, if you're in an area of town and there's no sidewalks, they don't want you there, you know, or having to live in the suburbs and thinking that we're doing well, and to be sitting on your front porch and have a car of grown white men come by and say, get off the porch, nigger, you know, or I'm trying to go to the park around the corner from my house and we're being heckled. People are screaming and yelling at the N-word at us. And me and my nephew being so, because my nephew is like 4 years in age difference from me. So we're more like brothers and sisters, and being scared that we have to go back because we don't know what's going to happen, you know, and the fact that we have to have different conversations, like when the cops pull you over, do this, don't raise your voice, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. And no matter what you can follow the rules and still be murdered. You cannot follow the rules and still be murdered. You can be standing, walking to work, look, and you hear it's a Black person, a person of color, and just snatched up. You know, like I still think about Khalif Broader, who spent all those years incarcerated, came out with crazy mental health issues. Because if you didn't have a mental health issues before you went to prison, you're gonna have them when you come out. That's facts, okay? And to be in so much pain that you kill yourself, you know. And then I find like I didn't watch George Floyd video. I couldn't watch it, you know. But I accidentally saw Devontae's video, and I have not been right since I seen it. You know, like I can't explain it. And I have seen dead bodies. Like I have had people die in front of me. I hit them with Norcan and brought them back. You know, I did CPR on my mother in my home while she was dying, you know. And that last video that I saw, it has really done something to me where I'm not processing things right. You know, like I just feel like I'm in a lot of pain, and I shouldn't feel this way. And we can do better as a country. And it's like everybody is trying to get money, and money is a man-made construct. You know, we pay for things that should be free. Water, shelter, food, we should all have that, you know, and it's like, it's never ending. And I'm so tired. I'm so tired of it. Does anyone has anything they want to add to that?
Well, I think as far as the protest aspect, that's kind of what my protest is with. I mean, it's an internal protest at first, but just how we deal with this, because I mean, essentially, these are legalized snuff films. You know, you go to jail for you had a snuff film, but these are real life. Like you said, you know, watching the George Floyd thing, that's a snuff film. You're watching somebody be killed right in front of you, and the fact of, you know, when it starts getting shared on social media and stuff, I understand bringing attention to it, but sometimes it's just done with so much, like it's not done with any type of care or anything. And, you know, every culture, you know, you treat your dead with respect, you know?
Yeah. And I remember, for those of you who remember when Rodney King happened, I remember sitting in the boss office, that stands for Black Organization of Students at Rutgers University. And William was telling me about, he said, you didn't see the video? Like it's all over the news. And like and when I saw it, I was like, there's no way that these cops are not going to jail. There's no way that they're not going to prison and then not guilty, you know? And then like, and so many other things, like we're seeking justice, and it's like not guilty, not guilty. Like, when do we have the right to say that our lives really matter? And then when I hear about Trump protesters and they're talking about Blue Lives Matter, but you took an American flag and you literally beat these people who was protecting the Capitol down, got gauged out eyeballs, 4 people died, you know, so what do you mean Blue Lives Matter? You know, and then as all this has happened and stuff is coming out, they're saying things that I kind of like always thought subjectively, but had no objective information, that a lot of the people who were at the protests were police officers and former military people, and that these insurrectionists, they want that type of training so they can like take over the country. I was like, when are we gonna win? It's like we can't win, you know, but I want to encourage everyone to keep fighting, to find somebody to talk to in those moments when you're struggling for our own mental health and well-being, and to educate our children to the best that we can so that they can protect themselves when they're out of our sights. To have somebody leave the home and go to work, go to school, to catch the bus, and be fearful that at any second their lives can be taken and they won't come home, that's a heavy burden to bear for anyone. And it seems like people of color keep bearing these burdens. You know? Even my dog is making noise like, yeah. Okay. Okay. Matt, you know, is there anything else that you want to say at all? I know you said you was only going to do that one piece, so I think it's only right that if you have any other comments to make before we kind of like jump into this panel discussion real quick.
No, I'm good. I want to hear Siri. I'm itching to hear her poems.
Okay. Well, Siri.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. I'm having a computer issue. Hold on. I thought it was plugged up, but it's not. Siri.
Yes.
This is gonna sound so unprofessional.
Nope.
Can you introduce yourself? And
Yes.
I'll plug up this computer.
It's all good. Helena and I have worked together for a long time, so we can back each other up this way. So hi, everybody. I'm JF Siri. I can share a couple of things with you, I think, that are in my bio. So I'm a New Yorican poet and performer. I've been performing for, there's somebody's honking the horn really loud outside, so I'm super distracted. Let's see, I've been performing for almost 2 decades now. I've performed internationally as well as across the United States. I have the distinct honor and pleasure to have worked with Helena in her story for many years. And now I just, I teach from home, I write from home, I perform from home. And that is 2020, 2021, and maybe 2022.
Well, I want to add something that's not in your bio. Okay. One day, Siri.
Oh,
Siri, huh?
Is it about a banana?
No.
Okay.
One day, Siri posted on Facebook that she got toothpaste in her eye. And I was like, how the fuck do you get toothpaste in your eye? Right? Okay, so I'm not judging. So maybe like 2 weeks later, I accidentally set my bra on fire. Don't judge me. So in that moment, I said to myself, I can see how Siri got toothpaste in her eye. Sometimes shit just happens.
I can still see, thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Let me tell you all, really try to avoid touching your eyes after you've brushed your teeth or in the middle of brushing your teeth or working with toothpaste. It has a very strange cooling but burning sensation at the same time. So yeah, so Helena and I have had a couple of little adventures together. I'll tell the banana story. So at rehearsal one time, Helena, who sometimes faints from, I guess, low blood sugar.
Yes, I have low blood pressure. Low
blood pressure. And she fainted and I freaked out. I ran downstairs and I'm like, I gotta get a banana, gotta get her some water, so gotta take care of my girl. By the time I got back up, she was like alert and thinking, but I'm like, what happened? So we've got to make sure she's eating all her meals when she's supposed to eat. But thank you so much for having me here. And thank you for sharing that funny story.
I can relate. You're my her story sister for life, even though I'm no longer with the troop. I still claim her story. You know?
It's staying in my bio. We've contributed so many years and hours and dedication to that show. It's staying in the bio. So yeah. So I guess I'll share what
issue are you trying to bring attention to? Raise the consciousness, educate.
So this first poem, and I'm actually, this is believe it or not, I haven't performed this poem in a really long time. And this is the first time that I'm going to give a trigger warning. The poem is about domestic violence. And so I'm giving a trigger warning. And I just wanted to comment that the poem is so old that I think we as a community weren't in the practice of like doing trigger warnings and honoring people's trauma. So I want to say that before I begin, so that if anybody needs to practice self-care, if you want to like mute it, or, I want you to take care of yourself. Wife beater, a wife beater, wife beater, wife beat her. Beat her up nice and good so she knows her place. You pummel her face, beat her down to the ground, wife beater. Drag her up and down the stairs, wrap your large hands round her neck. Make sure you wear your wife beater when you beat her so that she can see the blood stains from her face. Beat her when she's out of line, beat her when she's not on time, beat her when she's looking a little too damn fine. Beat her, wife beater. Show her you're the king of your domain. Be sure to wear those sexy wife beaters, the ones Jordan looks so good in. They come in packs of black and blue and shades of gray. Wear that wife beater under your shirt so its imprint reminds her of the imprints you left on her body. Beat her, white beater, nice and good, like daddy showed you you could, with daily lessons of channeling rage within the walls of a cage called home. Shame her into having to explain the cuts, bruises, and brownish stains. Flex on your woman the way that life has flexed on you. Force her to flinch, falter, and forget. Tell her she made you lose control, so you beat her. Tell her it's because you love her that you beat her. Beat her, wife beater, until she's numb. Then leave those sweaty wife beaters about the house, trophies of your battles won, symbols of her beaten heart. Beat her in the name of respect. Beat her in the name of power. Beat her when you can't stand to see her. And don't forget to call it your wife beater when you beat her, so your daughter will know its name. Thank you.
Listen, Siri, I don't know if you remember this, but I think we were going to James Madison University and you was talking about a wife beater in this poem. And I was like, yeah, like they don't realize how disrespectful that they named the t-shirt the wife beater.
Yeah.
And you went and you did that, and it was very, very well received by students, and
Yeah.
There's like some crazy stats, like I think it's like 1 out of every 7 or 2 out of every 10 women would be victims of some type of domestic abuse, like emotional, physical,
Yeah,
so
the numbers are staggering. And I think, domestic violence is really tricky because it doesn't just affect the initial victim, right? It's a family problem. Everyone, you can't isolate when to a particular person or a particular thing when it's happening. But I think, like my younger sister, who's a social worker, you've met her, she used it like randomly just before, like that, and that's what inspired the poem. And I'm like, what? No, like you shouldn't be using this word. And it's just so colloquial, right? So many people use it, so many people don't think about it. And I guess, because I spend so much time playing with words, I wonder about when those words become so much a part of our language and our thinking that they're normalized, right? And so, we're just throwing this word around, and most people's first idea is the t-shirt, but what that word triggers for other people could be, memories of parents, memories of friends, of family, of themselves. So I haven't done that one in a long time, but I was thinking about the theme of the night and what kind of pieces sort of like deal with real social issues.
And a friend of mine runs a domestic violence program, and she's like, since COVID-19, like the numbers has even skyrocketed more because these people are living with their abusers like 24/7, like especially in the early days of the pandemic. And speaking about like how powerful words are and how people don't always think about stuff, I was with my nephew, my youngest nephew. Y'all might remember him from the poetry scene, little Jamal. And Jamal is like a grown man with a baby now. But years ago, he was at my house and he was like, no homo butt. And I was like, no homo. I was like, oh, I said, I don't know what you mean, no homo. Let's unpack this. And I was
Mhm.
like, you know, a lot of people who are gay,
Mhm.
period. I was
Right.
like, second, okay, you could be a man, a young adult, and have feelings and emotions and express them without somebody just automatically assuming or attaching it to your sexuality.
Mhm.
Okay. And so, but it was like I was hearing this, so I just was like, no, that's just like uncalled for. Like we don't say that here
Mhm.
in the Lewis's home. How about that? Okay.
And
Go
I think
ahead.
it's really important to set those boundaries with language, right?
Mhm.
Because you want to protect your space as well, right? And I want to, I hope everyone wants to protect their space and their mind and their spirit. And so, yeah, sometimes we have to set boundaries like that, right? And and maybe that'll make folks more conscious and think. I know I've had a couple folks after hearing that poem go back and say like, oh yeah, I really thought about that, or I thought about other
Mhm.
kinds of words that I use that could be problematic. And, I think as we start to become conscious of certain behaviors, conscious of language, conscious of all of those things, then we can make some decisions that are, like you were saying earlier, more compassionate,
Mhm.
more human, and, and we could just be better people to each other.
Mhm.
That's the
I
end
do.
goal, I hope, right? Like, I mean, apart from all the systemic issues we're facing, I think there's a,
Mhm.
big hope and wish that we can just be human to each other.
Yeah, that's my hope. Okay. Does anybody have any comments before Siri does her second poem?
I just want to say, no, yeah, it's important to listen to one another because it's about growth.
Mm-hmm.
We all learn, and things change, and we might not think something is hurtful, but
Mhm.
it's about listening to one another and and learning. It's about
Mhm.
growth.
Mhm. Well, because let me tell you, I remember I had this professor, not this Spanish teacher, in high school. His name was Mr. Green, and I never forget sitting in the classroom, and this teacher said in the classroom that I was not attractive. I never forgot that. And I was like, who are you to gauge my beauty? Like, you don't get to do that.
That's
I'm the
horrific.
way I am on purpose. And I think, coming up, I being darker, having my hair was a little more African than others, and like how I was stigmatized just based on my DNA, and that now I'm older, I'm into myself and stuff. Like people like, oh, your hair is gorgeous, this and that. But this was a process,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
the adults around me did not help me
Mm-hmm.
on that road to self-love.
Yeah.
And we think that teachers are supposed to educate, nurture, and mentor, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they do a lot of damage. So I just want to put
Mm-hmm.
that out there. And Siri, at the New Rican Poets Cafe, I was in the back of the bar, and
Uh-huh.
this lady walked up to me, and she had another girl. The girl was crying. I said, "What's going on here? Like, my poetry was that bad?" You know what I'm saying? And she's like, my friend wanted to meet you, and I think she had came to the New Rican because she knew I was going to be there. And she said that poem I did about my ex-boyfriend made her leave her ex, and he was
Mm-hmm.
physically abusive to her.
Mm-hmm.
And when people are talking about what's your greatest poetry moment,
Mm-hmm.
that's it right there.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't being on TV. It wasn't performing for the MBTF. It wasn't all these shows and plays. It was the fact that my words encourage someone and empower them to go towards a better situation.
That's amazing. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
And I mean, I think to know that you have that gift, even if you never hear the stories, right? But to know
Mhm.
that one, I think, represents all of the people that have probably been, listened to you perform and listen to the words and just got changed, right? Like you change, your thinking
Mhm.
changes, like you said, the body keeps the score. Your body changes, you physically change when you start to move, right? And your eyes start to open, and you start to
Mhm.
to value yourself enough to want to get out of dangerous situations.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And second poem series,
Okay.
what journey are you taking us on with this poem? How about that?
Journey. So this poem. I'm gonna try to make a little web here. So I see Matt has a sweater that says Binghamton on it. Is that correct? And Matt, would that be because you are an alumnus of Binghamton, or because you know someone who went there? I'm just curious. Oh, nice. Okay. So Matt,
My daughter goes there.
nice. So Matt is a Binghamton dad. I'm a Binghamton grad. Okay, and NDO. So tell your daughter that she's in good company. So I wrote this poem when I was in Binghamton as an undergraduate, and the poem is a kind of an awakening. And I think that, I look at a lot of conversation online when folks are getting into like political debates and other things. And one of the things that I always kind of think about and come back to is that, oh, there's Smokey. That I think about and come back to is the journey of consciousness and awakening and realizing what, how you've been thinking versus how you should be thinking. And we're not all on that journey or on that track at the same time, right? Like some of us may have come into consciousness very early. Some of us are coming into consciousness much later. And so when I see these conversations, I always think about, well, this person is in a different place in that journey of consciousness. But we can't protest if we're not aware, right? So we need that consciousness to then be able to identify the issues in society. So this is a little throwback to the Binghamton days. And this, and I literally just fished this out of, this is from a student publication called La Voz. And I literally, this is from an old copy. So you see it's like a little, it's yellowed. All right, here we go. It's called Café Bustelo. Soñando. Yes, you can do with me what you will. I have given you everything. My eyes now blind, my ears now deaf, my heart doesn't beat, my soul is locked away, my mind is yours. I will do your bidding, I will be educated in your institutions, I will be molded by your professors, I will never shout, I will never raise my hand in protest, I will be your object of violation, I will obey your rules, I will allow you to rape me of my consciousness, I will answer to the Anglo name you've given me, I will cry in fear, I will hide in shame, there is perfection in my skin, my eye will never let me attain, I give you my strength. I give you my pride. I give you my love. I give you my life. I will work until my hands bleed. And even then I will go on. I will never contradict you. I will have faith in your God. I will promote your politics. I will limit myself for your people, for you, for you, for you. And then I woke up and I thought vaguely upon the dream that was a life, my life, your life. I put the coffee to brew and drank it, and it all became so clear. I went into the bathroom and I purged you, and I flushed your hate, your greed, your dominance. I showered and rinsed the residue of you off my body, and I became me. I don't speak, I scream. I don't walk, I march. My arms are always raised in protest. I will always fight. I will win because now I am awake. I am conscious. Your lies will never sway me again because this morning I woke up y me tomé una taza de café Bustelo negro sin azúcar, and you will never poison me again with your words, light and sweet. And so that's the second piece. Mm-hmm. 20 plus years, that poem.
It aged well. It's time. It really aged well. Really good.
I appreciate that, Matt, because I was wondering about it. And sometimes you have to hear it out loud and let others hear it to know, where it's going to live. But yeah, that was one of the earliest pieces that I wrote in college when I was just starting to find myself as a poet.
Mm-hmm. How does it feel now to revisit that work?
Ooh,
and for it to still have meaning now?
You worry, right? Because I think as an artist, you want to grow, right? You want to grow, you want to develop, you want to improve your craft. And so whenever I go back to the old work, I always go back with a little hesitation about where I was artistically at that point. Mm-hmm. But this was a fun exercise because I think while my thinking has changed on a number of different issues, right? Because as you grow and you learn and you meet people and you allow things to affect you, your thinking changes. I think at the core, my identity hasn't changed, right? At the core of who I am and what my values are and what my convictions are. I think that, it's nice to know that I had that moment of consciousness of realizing like, wait, whoa, the world that I've been given is not, where do I fit in that world? And, it's becoming increasingly clear that systematically and institutionally, the places where we fit were few and far between. And so, on the one hand, it's always dismaying that we're still sort of confronting a lot of this. So what makes it timeless, right, also makes it sad, right? And not sad in like a bad way, but just sad that we're still struggling with these things. But then again, it's only 20 years, right, since this poem was originally written. So, how much is the world gonna change in that amount of time, right? And I think one of the interesting things, right? So I'll date myself a little bit. So this is the pre social media days, that we were just barely learning what Google was days. And so we didn't have the kind of ready instant access to everything that I think folks have today. And so, one of the things that I'm increasingly proud of are the young folks, right? The young organizers, the young activists, the young folks that are there on the front lines, really pushing for all of these things. Because, what I was doing from the comfort of my, like my little privileged seat at college, folks have been out in the streets doing, right? And really pushing. And so, it's just a reminder that time period, right? That adolescence, that young adult time period is a really great time for folks to start to mold into who they're going to be and who they are. And, I think my younger self hopefully will be a little proud of my older self.
Yeah, I'm sure she is. So, first, I just want to thank everybody again, Big Mike, Siri, Matt, and Manuel, and to all the people who have been watching. I'm going to tiptoe into the panel discussion. I only got one question for the panel. One question. Okay, you can tag in if you want, or you can tag in if you don't, but it's got one question. And then afterwards, if anyone that is still on the Zoom feed, if you have a poem that you want to share, like I said before, I need to see your face, because no more naked people going across my screen. How you doing? So get your life right. My question for the panel is, when did you realize that your poetry was a form of protest? It was so deep, nobody got anything to say. Oh, amen, amen. Oh, yes.
I did an event at the LGBT Community Center, and it was a poem about being kicked out, and for when I came out, and I had somebody come up to me and tell me that they had a similar experience, and it was there and then that I realized that what I was doing was bigger than me, because when I started writing, it was about like healing and sharing my story, and it was then that I realized that I was maybe giving voice to others who maybe didn't have that opportunity. And that's when I realized that what I was by sharing my story, I was giving voice to others that maybe didn't have that opportunity. And I so that was inspiring to me, and that's what inspired me to keep doing what I was doing.
Thank you. And who knew, just by being unapologetically yourself, that you can move the world in such ways. And I think, I know all of our performers today rather well, and I can say that I've seen their impact in the community, poetry community. I have people come up and ask me about them, or, they got websites, chapbooks, books, movies, videos, and it's just like it's ongoing with some people. And I'm just so privileged to be a part of this show with you all. And so I just want to thank you again. Does anyone else want to share on that topic? When did you realize your poetry was protest, was a form of protest?
I mean, I think for me, it probably started around this time, because there was something happening when I was doing my undergrad work that was a lot about the word. I don't know exactly when the word marginalized got coined, but it was a word that was being used a lot by my professors in terms of like the experiences of Black and Brown people in the United States. And so I felt silenced in a way by that language. Like, okay, we're in the margins, and who's listening to us, who's reading us, who's, you know, engaging with us. And so the idea of coming, you know, into the center and taking up space by being, by performing or writing, I think is part of where it started to happen for me. You know, just this idea that like, you know, I always say this, like a little Puerto Rican girl from the Bronx could, you know, come up and do some of these things. And I didn't even have the fortune of knowing a Julia de Burgos when I was coming up. I didn't learn about her until much later, right? Or even, you know, some of the other four founders of the New York poetry movement. So I think it started to feel like protest when I started to feel like a voice that was formerly silenced was now speaking, and now, you know, through this vehicle.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Go once, going twice. Does anybody have a comment before I bring on our first open mic performer, which is clearly going to be Douglas Collar? Big Mike, anything, any last words? He's like, cool, I'm out. Okay, Siri, any last words? Matt, any last words? Good. Hey, man,
Thank you.
You're welcome, Big Mike. You good? Okay. My fantastic performers, thank you so much. I know that some of you might have to go. If you want to stick around, of course, that's more than fine. I see we have about 20 minutes left, so I'm going to open up the show for the performers who want to perform on the open mic. And I'm going to call Douglas first, because I see his camera is on and I know him, and I know he won't dance naked across the screen. Woo! Let me ask to unmute you, Douglas. Just heard it. Are you getting the unmute message, Douglas? Okay,
yeah,
great.
I just did. Yeah, thanks.
Oh,
No dancing across the screen. That's not going to happen. Don't worry.
And shameless plug, Douglas is also the person who did some video work for me for Shenanigans. Fantastic job. And if you've seen the article of me in the Amsterdam News, Douglas is a photographer who took the pictures.
Yep, that's me. So let me see. I'm just gonna do one. Let me see. Hold on. Here we go. This one. Let's see. Here we go. This one is called Ronin. Ronin.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And what issue are you trying to educate or bring light to?
Well, you'll. I think you'll. I think it's pretty self-explanatory once I read it.
Okay. Let me put my thinking hat on.
Understand. All right. Samurai Sans Master, the equivalent of a vigilante, no longer maintaining honor code, kill or be killed, survive, or risk being the laughing stock of your community, mocked by peers, relegated to a court jester. Master's now on the lookout for a new pupil. He has tremendous shoes to fill, to occupy a legacy. Fearing he will repeat the mistakes of his forebears, destiny must be fulfilled regardless of outcome. Destiny can be modified at any time, where there's a breath in our bodies and blood coursing through veins, deoxygenated to oxygenated blood, blue to red. Samurai must become his own master, capable of tending to the herd, leading his flock to victory or damnation, to die, to live, be reborn again, to see the farthest reaches of his actions take hold. It is imperative that the leader is adaptable, able to swing progressively with societal advancement. There's blood on his hands, as there are everyone else's, because no record is truly spotless without blemish. It'll take more than bleach to scrub out the pockmarks of our cumulative history. like the after effects of tattoo removal, scars taking size, shape, rotund, or lean. Samurai as master rises to the occasion. There you go.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Douglas. Wow. Matt is snapping, Emmanuel is snapping, Siri is snapping. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. You have another piece that you want to share, and then I see Nikki. I don't know, are you clapping or are you raising your hand because you want to do the open mic? We'll figure that out. But do you have another piece you want to do, Douglas?
Let's see here. Yeah, I have one more. I have one more to do. It's shorter, a little shorter.
Okay.
Let's see. Here we go. I awaken from a deep slumber, the kind where nightmares flood the synapses. Dreams are rarefied like an aging copper coin. It could be perceived as a lucky find, a kind of four-leaf clover. I trip while running at the speed of sound. My field of vision is acute. Tell me about the days when the pitter-patter of water was a calming mechanism, staring up at the skylight, soaking up the overcast. This would be a perfect day for picture taking. The shutter snaps, moments encapsulated. I rise now, greeting the day, same as yesterday, finding myself pontificating in a dimly lit room where everyone could be a stranger until you just take the effort to walk up to them. Hugs offered, handshakes as well. There is a beacon of light at the end of the long, solitary march. All you need to do is own the drum beat. All right.
Thank you, thank you, Douglas. And where can people get in contact with you?
Oh, sure. Facebook is just Douglas G. Calla. DouglasGcala on Facebook. On let's see, on Twitter it's at Doug Calla. And my if you want, my email is dougcalla@gmail.com. Yeah, so I can be reached. I'm on Facebook a lot. So
okay. Well,
yeah.
thank you very much. And I want to say that you could also reach Emmanuel Xavier on Facebook and on his website. Maybe, in fact, why don't we just go around, because this is the end of the show. I want to thank everybody for participating. Remember, donate to the New Eurekan Poets Cafe at NewEurekan.org, contribute, or the money sign Cash App at New Eurekan Poets Cafe. My name is Helena D. Lewis. You can get at me at hdlpoet.com or just Google my name. I'm up on almost every platform. Emmanuel, can you share your website and how people can get in contact with you? And then we'll ask Siri and then Matt, and then we'll say goodbye to everybody.
I don't actually have a website. I used to. It was turned into a porn site, so don't look that up.
It happens. It happens.
But you can look me up on Facebook. You can look me up on Instagram. It's just Emmanuel Xavier, Emmanuel with 1M. And I do have a new book coming out. It'll come out on June 1st. And thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Yeah, this is really
good. Coming out on June 1st. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, if they want an advanced copy, like order an advanced copy, can people do that now?
Yes, pre-sales are up on Amazon, on Walmart, Barnes and Noble. Yeah, it's my selected poems of the past. I've been doing this for 25 years, so I just collected my favorite poems from the past 25 years and put them in a book.
And I just want to add, like I said, if you heard me in the beginning, I actually use Emmanuel's book when I'm working with my clients to process various issues, and always a lovely discussion whenever we use pieces from his first book, Peer Queen. Okay. Matt, Siri, you want to talk about where they can find you at in the Zoom universe?
I'm gonna let Siri go first because I'm working on this list poem in my head about things that happen to poets. You know, to get toothpaste in their eye, their bra gets set on fire,
It
and
happens.
their website gets turned to a porn site. So getting great stuff out of tonight. Very great.
Oh my God. Material. That's hilarious. Yes, I am on Facebook, J.F. Seri, I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at Siri1, the number 1. And yeah, please, thank you so much for the support, anybody who joins. And I hope I don't drive you too crazy. Please feel free to like snooze me if the posts become too much, which they do, especially when I'm talking about Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, Lord, don't get me started. Okay, thank you, Siri. And Matt, you still working on your list?
I posted mine in the chat. My IG is M_A_Dennis575.
Okay. I was looking for some music to close us out with, but clearly I wasn't fast enough. So I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much for spending this time with me during the pandemic and with our fabulous performers. I know you could have done other things, but you chose to be with us today. And whether you're looking at this 100 years from now or tomorrow, I'll send you peace, love, good vibes, and do what you got to do. And let's keep bringing light to these issues that need to be changed. All right, y'all. This is your girl, Dr. Helena D. Lewis, reporting from my living room for the New Rican Poets Cafe. I want to thank our sponsors, the National Endowment of the Arts, the New York City Council on the Arts, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, the Amazon Literacy Partnership, the Academy of American Poets, the Tonight Show, Lift Every Voice, the Mid-Atlantic Arts Foundation, the Hispanic Federation, the Shelley and Donald Rubin Foundation, the Literacy Arts Emergency Fund, and the New York Community Trust COVID-19 Response Fund for helping us provide this free online programming. Please donate to New Rican Poets Cafe. Go to newrican.org/contribute or money sign at New Rican Poets. That's the Cash App. I'm your girl, Dr. HDL. Until next time, be safe. That's my Carol Burnett coming out in me.